dining room at Samueling Tibetan Centre, and we've been doing the compassion-based living course teaching skills retreat, and you're leading the Mindfulness Association in Poland.
That's right.
So could you say something about how that came about?
Oh, that's a long journey, because that was it was part of my own personal development. I entered the first cohort of the Masters, MSc in Mindfulness, and it just sort of developed naturally from there. I found the mindfulness a really interesting roadmap of practice for myself. I'm a Buddhist practitioner, but I found it was very useful for me to kind of take my practice to a very kind of non-sectarian, really clear, almost scientific level, and that was also important for me because I'm an actress, and I also teach acting, and my acting method is based on mindfulness. And it really, then I started to understand how these two paths could come together for me, my own personal development as well as my teaching, and it informed not only my performance work but my teaching as well. I've known Rob Nairn since '93, and I was very impressed with the course itself, the structure of it. It really made sense to me, and Rob started to kind of push me to, Rob and a few other important people in my life started to push me to bring it to Poland. And I thought, oh God, how am I going to do that? It was funny because there was a lot of transition in my life over the past few years, and mindfulness both helped me on a very personal level to kind of actually survive very difficult time, and at the same time I just sort of planted it in Poland. And thanks to the Mindfulness Association, to yourself, Heather, to Rob, I had a huge kind of support system and a system of teaching which I could just just start to organise and develop in Poland. So we've done since 2014, that was in April, so that's almost 3 years, and I guess I just kept following my instinct that this was the right thing to do. It made sense. And in Poland, it's a very new thing in Poland. There's only MBSR, which is sort of which is conglomerated in the capital, in Warsaw, and there's not much happening in the provinces. I live in Wrocław, which is in the west, and we had wonderful feedback after the first mindfulness course. And so since then we've taught four weekend courses, so the sort of the really big ones, one compassion course. Next week we're starting our first teacher training course. We've got 30 people signed up for it, for mindfulness-based living, which is really exciting.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. And we're starting 2 more new long mindfulness courses this year in Poland as well. Since 2014, each year we've had a retreat, a deepening practice retreat. Rob Nairn was on the first one, which was lovely. As well, this year we're going to be presenting a contemplative group dynamics retreat up in the north of Poland on the seaside. And I think it's growing very slowly, which I'm pleased with, because I know from my own experience, when things grow slowly, they have deep roots and authentic roots. So my main aim is to have really, really top-class teachers teaching. So on every course I have someone from the UK, or in the case of Aniek Nevigen from the Netherlands, coming to teach either with me as a co-teacher or a head tutor, because they're people who have really embodied the practice for many, many years with a great understanding for themselves, and of course an ability to teach others and share their practice with them. So that's sort of crucial for me, because I know that from my own experience of directing theatre companies, and not only, that the most important thing are the people. They're the resources that you work with. And so I'm working on quality and not quantity. Although I'm feeling the tug to have more and more courses, I'm kind of resisting it, because I'm just aware that every person, every individual that comes to the courses has to somehow be cared for. Has, you know, it's a process. These things go very deeply. I was surprised myself how deeply. We've also run one short 8-week course. We're about to run another couple of those this year. So, you know, I'm keeping it international. All of the courses are in English, translated into Polish. And I think that's a wonderful thing for Polish people as well. You know, they sort of get a little bit of English, you know, on the side, and they can hear that language, which is really important in Poland as well. But it also means that people can come from other countries, and we're hoping to open it up more to Eastern Europe, to the Czech Republic, to Lithuania, Latvia. And I hope this will happen slowly, you know, over time, in a natural kind of way.
Yeah.
I've had great support from the Mindfulness Association, and you know, our website and our name is Mindfulness Association Poland, because I think that the resources, you know, we resource them, but I think they're also resourcing us. You know, we're presenting the same courses, plus I think the fact that they're in Poland, and for example the retreats are in Poland, can be a really attractive thing for people from the UK. You know, when somebody wants to go for a retreat and it's not quite available yet in Scotland or in other places, it's available in Poland as well. It's been a really exciting, wonderful process for me. Sometimes a little overwhelming, I must admit. But as I said, I'm really trying to take it slowly and deeply embed the roots of mindfulness. And I've been here for the last week at a compassion-based living course, being taught or experiencing how to teach the short course, the short compassion-based living course, and that's been a very fruitful experience. So also Heather asked me to sort of share a little bit about my own practice and perhaps a practice with all of you. What's been an important practice in my life, I can say all my life, has been walking and moving, because also because of my profession as a teacher and a performer. I'm very, you know, the body is the vessel for us on stage, but also in difficult times for me, I found that mindful walking has kept me sane when I've not been able to find the time to sit and practice because the hotel rooms on tour are not right. So I've done a lot of mindful walking then, just to keep me connected to my practice. And this is something I've realized more and more, is to, you know, that we're not all, the conditions are not always ideal, but to keep connected even in small, tiny ways. And what I found over the last week is that I've been really rejuvenated by being here in Samiling. It's been wonderful weather, walking, breathing, you know, filling myself up again with a kind of nurturing environment and space. But I'm not going to do mindful walking now for you here. It's dark and it's but I'd like to refer to it. What I always find most moving in the mindful walking is this moment when we step, we feel earth. I have arrived. I'm here. I have arrived. And that kind of total feeling of, yes, I have arrived, again and again and again. So what I'd like to share with you today is actually the self-compassion break. And I'll refer to the mindful, that kind of state of mindful walking within it. But there are three things in the compassionate, the short compassion break, mindful compassion break, self-compassion break. And the first thing is the mindfulness of, this is a moment of suffering, connecting to it, like the foot that connects to the earth. This is a moment of difficulty. Yes, may I be kind to myself in this moment. So our reaction to it. And then there's this, the sense of the greater humanity, that we all suffer. And then there's the conscious, compassionate reaching out to do something about it. So before we actually do the compassionate break together, I'd like to read my favourite poet, Mary Oliver. And this is Wild Geese. It's a wonderful poem for me for many, many reasons. but just nice to listen to it again. Wild geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about your despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. So thank you, Mary Oliver, for the inspiration, because I think the inspiration is really important. So remind ourselves from time to time, even small moments, so that we're ready for the big ones. This is a moment of difficulty. And feel the feet on the ground, feel your body, sense yourself. I myself tend to fly away and panic when I'm having a moment of difficulty. So really coming home by placing your hand on your heart, or anywhere at all, if it's a place in public where we can't be so private about our feelings. This is a moment of difficulty, and sensing the touch of ourselves, the touch, our own mindful touch and connection to ourselves, feeling our breath, taking in the good of the touch, taking in the warmth of the touch. This is a moment of difficulty. And then opening up to the bigger picture. Many other people suffer. Difficulties and suffering are a part of life. And even if we don't really feel that because we feel the pain of ourselves so strongly, perhaps we can at least sense that that is true. And then coming back to the compassionate act, as the Dalai Lama said, the wish to help, the wish to do something, to change pain. May I be kind to myself in this moment. And that acknowledgement, but also the act of doing something about it, I think is a real power, feeling of powerfulness, that we're not so powerless. So may I make the right decision? May I be kind to myself? May I, whatever you need to do in relation to what that feeling of pain is. May I go out to speak to someone? May I phone my family? And then acknowledging that you can actually do something about it. May I have a cup of tea? May I rest? And then resting again for a minute, sensing the body, sensing the touch, and then going on to do it. So that's the self-compassion break in a kind of a version. But as I said, it's good to practice it, because when it comes to the big times of overwhelming and pain, then it's good to have that memory that actually we can do something, at least a little bit about it, by acknowledging it and finding a solution. So thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you in Poland or somewhere along the mindful and compassion path. Thanks.
Lovely, Anna. Thank you very much, and let's hope 2017 is a really successful year for mindfulness in Poland.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather, for everything.